Hey, Lolo Top 10s here. A little bit late here today. Nowadays, typos are an extremely common blunder. Who doesn't make a typo when texting, writing a paper, or even send out a resume? Typos can be found in beloved books, celebrity tweets, and even newspaper articles. We're used to them, but they never fail to abuse us when pointed out. Below, we have a list of the 10 ridiculous typos that you are sure to make you chuckle. First up, number 10. The president entering his fiancée. In 1915, the Washington Post ran an article on President Woodrow Wilson's love life. One curious sentence in the article read, "The president gave himself up for the time being to entering his fiancée." Of course, what the paper meant to say was that the president had been entertaining his bride-to-be as gout, not entering her. The eyebrow-raising sentence was an obvious mistake, but one that went down in history as being one of the worst typos ever printed. Thankfully, ever since Eugene Mayer bought the Washington Post back in 1933, it has been a barrier of explanatory political coverage that has thus far managed to avoid similar blunders. Pretty nice. Alright. So, number 9 is Bible typos. Perhaps the best known Bible blunder in history was the accidental omission of the word not in "thou shalt not commit adultery." The Bible in question was put out in 1631. It became known as the Sinner's Bible, and some speculate that the accidental slip-up was actually sabotage. However, memorable typos can be found in other versions of the Bible. For example, in the 1795 edition of the King James Bible, let the children first be filled. That is Mark chapter 7, verse 27. Hey, if you don't mind, shut the door, please.
Okay.
Well, that is replaced with a far more frightening, "let the children first be killed." Similarly, in the 1716 edition of the King James Bible, "sin no more," Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 34, is replaced with "sin on more." 8,000 copies were printed before anyone noticed the typo. Finally, in the 1612 edition of the Bible, "Princes have persecuted me," became a far more futuristic, "printers have persecuted me." That's very nice. I didn't know it took place in the future. Alright, number 8 is 14,499 plus 1 equals 15,000. What I just said is true. So, no one knows exactly how it happened, but between February 6th and February 7th of 1898, the issue numbering for the New York Times somehow went from 14,499 and 15,000. And no one even knows it until a century later. Again, shut the door. Hey, shut the door. Alright, in 1999, Aaron Donovan, a news assistant at the Times, became curious about issue numbering and the possibility of error. Using a spreadsheet program, he calculated the number of days since the Times' founding, and through the newspaper's archives, he found out the days on which the paper skipped publication. Donovan then scanned books of historical front pages and reels of microfilm, and found the date of the 500-issue gap. Yeah, that is crazy what I just said. On January 1st, 2000, the Times issued a correction with an explanation. So although the December 31st, 1999 paper bore issue number 51,753, the next day's paper bore issue number 51,254. No damage was done, although the typo did result in the Times celebrating its 50,000th issue on March 14th, 1995, when it only was in fact issue number 49,500. Wow, that's pretty nice. Alright, number 7 is mistake corrected excuse me, corrected about 161 years later after it was typed. In 2014, the New York Times corrected a typo they made about 161 years earlier. The article that contained the error was printed on January 20th of 1853 and recounted the story of a freed slave named Solomon Northup, who had been published as his memoir, 12 Years a Slave. In the article, Northup's name was misspelled as Northrup, while the headline misspelled it as Northrup. Well, you get it? The Northrup that I just said first of all had an O in it, while the headline misspelled it as Northrup. It's supposed to be Northup, not Northrup. Get it? So, in 2013, Northup's memoirs were turned into a movie which went to win the Oscar for Best Picture at the 86th Academy Awards. Later, a Twitter user pointed out the typo in the Times archives, prompting an apology from the newspaper. That is pretty nice there. Alright, number 6 is the typo results in the Santa Tracker. A misprint in a 1955 Sears advertisement in a Colorado Springs newspaper in a call to Colonel Harry Shupp's secret hotline at the Continental Air Defense Command led to the creation of NORAD's official Santa Tracker. The whole thing began with Colonel Shupp received a phone call to a number only known to him and a 4-star general at the Pentagon. When Shupp answered, the voice at the other end of the line asked, "Is this Santa Claus?" Shupp was, at first, annoyed, thinking this was some sort of prank. But when the voice at the other end started crying, Shupp realized it was not a joke and pretended to be Santa Claus. Many more calls followed, and Shupp learned that this was a result of a typo in the Sears ad. A number of airmen were put on the phones to act like Santa Claus, but that was not to be on the end. On Christmas Eve of 1955, Shupp walked in to find a drawing of a sleigh on the glass board that was used for tracking airplanes. Inspired, Shupp called the local radio station, saying that an unidentified flying object that looks like a sleigh had been identified. After that, the radio stations began calling him every hour asking him where Santa was, and the Santa tracking system was born. Alright, number 5 is a little bit inappropriate for those younger people out there. But it is from exotic to erotic. But really, that is a pretty inappropriate mistake. Who thinks? Anyway, back in 1988, this lady named Gloria Quinan, the owner of Banner Travel Services, sued a phone company for $10 million as a result of a typo. The typo, which appeared on a telephone directory ad, turned her exotic travel services to erotic travel services. As one can imagine, Quinan was none too happy and ended up suing the Yellow Pages. After all, the unfortunate typo resulted in a large number of inappropriate calls, the loss of loyal clientele. Quinan was refunded, but not only the $230 monthly fee for running the ad on the phone book, but was also rewarded $10 million as a result of the mental anguish and distress she suffered. That's pretty nice. Alright, number 4 is that a typo stops a bank heist. A typo in an online bank transfer request stopped a nearly $1 billion heist in 2016. Nonetheless, the hackers got away with about $80 million. The hackers had successfully breached Bangladesh bank systems and stole its credentials for payment transfers. The hackers then sent about almost 3 dozen requests to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York to move money from Bangladesh bank's account. There were 2 entities in the Philippines and Sri Lanka. Well, 4 requests to transfer money to the Philippines went through, a total of about $81 million. However, the 5th transfer of $20 million to a Sri Lankan non-profit organization was unsuccessful, as the hackers misspelled foundation as fandation, causing suspicion. That's nice. Alright, number 3 is the extra S personality offense. A statue of Edgar Allan Poe near the University of Baltimore School of Law in Maryland was sculpted by Moses Ezekiel in 1916 and erected in 1921. The original base of the statue bore an inscription from Poe's poem, The Raven, which read, "Dream dreams no mortals ever dared to dream before." For some reason, the very obvious typo of the word dreaming was less insulting to Poe's enthusiasts than the type immortals, which should have been wrote mortal. One Baltimore resident was so upset by the mistake that he spent years writing compliment letters to local newspapers. When that did nothing, he took a chisel and personally removed the offended letter in 1930 for the good of his soul. Alright, number 2 is that the typo that ended almost a death sentence. In 1987, a man named Bruce Wayne Morris, get it, Bruce Wayne, was accidentally sentenced to death because of a typo. Morris was accused of killing a man who picked him up when he was hitchhiking from Sacramento to Lake Tahoe in 1985. After the trial, the judge intended to leave written instructions stating that if Morris was not sentenced to death, he would face prison for life without the possibility of parole. Instead of the word without, he wrote with. Alright. The jury thinking they had to decide between the death sentence and the possibility of letting Morris out in a couple of years chose death. However, after numerous appeals, the mistake was noticed and the decision was reversed back in 2001. Alright, number one. Alright, number 1 world is, well, this looks like a pretty interesting one. Anyway, so let me tell you about what happened with number 1. Alright. In 2014, the Australian Financial Review's front page contained a headline in its Western Australian special Anzac Day weekend edition, which, if you guys live in Australia, you may know what it reads. Seriously. But, believe it or not, that wasn't the only typo made on that specific front page. Other mistakes include Japan headlined Gallipoli. It's supposed to be, the Gallipoli. Joe Hockey headlined Alright, so Joe Hockey headlined TK here, and unexplained empty space. You have to admit that there's going to be a lot of mistakes on one front page. So, the editor-in-chief, Michael Studgeberry, apologized to Western Australian readers for the obvious unacceptable state of the paper's front page. The error was apparently the result of production staff and Cindy pressing the wrong button, which sent the draft version of the front page to print sites all around the country. So, what do you think, guys? How do you like this awesome Epic Typos you wished you never have ever read, if you have read it before? If you have any more Epic Typos that I did not know about in this, or mentioned in this video, just let me know in the comments down below. Alright, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and ring that notification bell. Ding, 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 ding. Alright, give this video a thumbs up, and support me on Patreon if you would, alright? I will leave a link in the description where you can do that. Alright guys, that is it for today, and see you guys next time in another awesome Top 10. Take care.